I have kept my commitments to the state of Israel. At every crucial juncture, at every fork in the road.
It's a commitment U.S. politicians are compelled to make if they want to be elected. And for those appealing to Christian evangelical voters, devotion to Israel seems mandatory.
He has turned his back on the people of Israel.
That's Rick Santorum bashing President Obama for not being pro-Israel enough at the annual AIPAC conference. The American Israeli Public Affairs Committee is the most powerful pro-Israel lobby in the U.S. During the 2012 election cycle, almost every Republican presidential candidate spoke at the event, touting their support for the U.S. ally.
I think that we've had an invented Palestinian people.
But there's a movement among Christian evangelicals in the U.S. away from the political norms associated with the group. It's a movement away from the staunchly pro-Israel stance to a stance that is more sympathetic toward Palestinians.
There's no question about the fact that that is a common, probably the most popular American Christian view. And yet there's an older historical Christian view that doesn't see that as the case.
John Scott Redd is the president of the Reformed Theological Seminary outside Washington, D.C. He observes a trend among his students to a more balanced approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
We see a lot of young evangelical, both aspiring pastors and folks pursuing other jobs at the seminary come through, and I see that there's an increasing interest in a reading of the scripture that sees the modern day Israeli state as a country like all the other countries in the world.
The movement has kept a low profile but is gaining popularity among younger evangelicals in America. Religious leaders say it's happening for theological reasons, but can also be attributed to a disillusion with the one-sided pro-Israeli rhetoric.
I think you found many young Christians found themselves seeing their complicated theological view being appropriated and used in a more possibly divisive foreign political position.
Not all evangelical groups agree with the direction of the youth movement. Christians United for Israel, one of the largest pro-Israel organizations, encourages American Christians to support Israel. They declined comment for this story. But Palestinian Ambassador Mayan Arikat thinks the movement is a step in the right direction.
We're seeing that also among the American Jewish community. The younger generation do not feel bound by the political convictions of the old guards or their parents and grandparents.
The birthplace of Christianity, the Holy Land has seen an exodus of Christians. As the religious minority, they're often caught in the crosshairs of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now Christians make up about 2% of the population in Israel and the West Bank, with millions of tourists flocking to holy cities like Bethlehem and Jerusalem each year. The region could eventually be without a local Christian population.
Many Christians have left Palestine after the Israeli occupation of 1967, and their conditions are deteriorating in different parts of Palestine, especially in and around Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. So it is our responsibility to reach out to them.
Now some evangelical communities are aiming to bring attention to the plight of Palestinian Christians by organizing trips to the region.
When you learn a lot more about a region, about peoples and their interrelationships with each other and their history, it causes you to reframe the whole way that you think about things.
The hope is that greater understanding of the conflict can pave the way to peace in the Middle East. In Washington, Liz Wall, RT.